The morning sun barely broke through the haze when I stepped outside, expecting the usual quiet of my rural property. Instead, I froze. A gleaming silver Mercedes, adorned with a tacky neighborhood watch sticker and a plastic palm tree dangling from the rearview mirror, sat smugly in front of my barn door. My barmy livelihood, my workshop, my sanctuary was blocked. Inside, thousands of dollars worth of tools, wood stacks, and a 1969 fire truck I'd been restoring for the county's historical society were trapped. No note, no apology, just 4 tires parked with surgical precision to choke my day before it began. This wasn't an accident. This was Lisa, our self-anointed neighborhood overlord, sending a message. My barn didn't fit her vision of suburban perfection. I didn't yell. I didn't kick her car. I stood there, coffee going cold in my hand, and felt a plan ignite. If Lisa wanted to play dirty, I'd build her a lesson she'd never forget. My barn sits just beyond the official boundaries of the Oak Grove Homeowners Association, but that never stopped Lisa. For years, she'd prowled the streets, clipboard in hand, citing neighbors for unapproved mailbox colors or a single weed in a flower bed. My property, inherited from my grandfather, was her personal obsession. The barn housed my contracting business, custom furniture, home repairs, the works in the fire truck project, a passion job to honor our town's history. Lisa called it an eyesore, claiming the rumble of my work trucks lowered property values. Yesterday, everything was fine. I'd just signed a contract with the Historical Society, and my crew was humming along. Now, her Mercedes was a chrome barricade, locking me out of my own life. I tried the civil route first. Her phone went straight to voicemail. I rang her doorbell, no answer. A neighbor, Mrs. Thompson, smirked and said Lisa was at her weekly charity brunch, which everyone knew meant martinis and gossip with her HOA cronies. I called a tow company, but they refused without a police report, citing private property laws. The sheriff's deputy who showed up scratched his head, squinted at the property line, and sighed. She's not on your land, just blocking access. It's a jerk move, but not illegal. That's when it hit me. Lisa had studied the rules, found the loophole, and weaponized it. She couldn't legally touch my barn, but she could choke my business with a single parking job. For 4 hours, I sat on my porch, watching her car bake in the sun. Jobs piled up, a lumber delivery got delayed, and one of my guys was stranded waiting for parts locked inside the barn. I missed a call with the Historical Society, costing me credibility. Every tick of the clock was money and patience draining away. I stayed calm, refusing to give Lisa the meltdown she craved. At 3 p.m., she sashayed back in a friend's convertible, sunglasses perched like a crown, clutching a tablet and a tiny, snarling dog. I approached, voice steady, and asked her to move. Her lips curled. You shouldn't be running a junkyard from that shack. It's bad for the neighborhood. I pointed out she was blocking my property. She smirked. I'm on the easement, neutral ground. Your grandpa never fixed the deed. She dug up 50-year-old records to justify her stunt. When I pressed, she said, I'll move it when I'm ready, and strutted inside. That was it. Years of her notes in my mailbox, her photos of my tools, her harassment of my delivery driver sit crystallized into one truth. Lisa thrived on control. I wasn't going to argue. I was going to build. That night, I called my cousin Nate, a bricklayer who owed me a favor. I sketched a plan on a napkin, a brick wall around her Mercedes, 2 bricks wide, high enough to trap the car, but low enough to dodge county codes for permanent structures. Nate cackled. You're nuts, but I'm in. At dawn, he rolled up with a truckload of bricks, mortar, and tools. We worked like surgeons, pretending it was a landscaping project. Lisa was at spin class or another HOA powwow, and neighbors peeked from windows but didn't interfere. Some flashed discreet thumbs-ups. By noon, the Mercedes was encased in a red brick rectangle, flawless and petty. We taped the sign to the wall. Parking privileges revoked until barn access is restored. I cracked a soda, sat back, and waited. Lisa's return was operatic. Her scream could have shattered glass, echoing off the barn as she circled the wall, dog yapping, sunglasses slipping. She pounded the bricks, searching for flaws, but Nate's work was ironclad. She stormed to my porch, face crimson, accusing me of vandalism and harassment. I reminded her she'd blocked my livelihood first. This wall's on my land, Lisa. Check the deed. She threatened lawsuits and stomped off, slamming her door so hard her porch light flickered. I sipped my drink and hit record on my phone. This was just round one. Within an hour, 2 HOA lackeys in ill-fitting polos showed up, clipboards in tow, calling the wall unauthorized. I showed them my county permit for decorative fencing filed months ago. They stammered, unprepared for my property being outside HOA reach. I mentioned my cameras, rolling 24/7, and the Historical Society's interest in the fire truck. They slunk away, and Lisa's blinds twitched as she watched. Later, she tried a new tactic: fake compliance inspectors in reflective vests, flashing flimsy badges. I gave them 10 seconds to leave before I called the sheriff. They bolted. I posted no trespassing signs, rigged floodlights, and added locks to the barn. If Lisa wanted war, I'd draw the battle lines. Then came the bombshell. My lawyer friend, Mark, dug into the HOA's records and found their charter had expired a year ago. Lisa's reign was a sham. She'd been collecting dues and issuing fines with zero authority. I taped the county clerk's notice to the wall and mailed copies to every neighbor. The backlash was swift. Texts flooded in, neighbors furious they'd been duped. A petition to dissolve the HOA gained traction, and the local paper ran a story. Man traps HOA queen's car in brick wall, exposes rogue board. Lisa's face was everywhere, her excuses unraveling. She didn't back down. She called the fire department, claiming someone was trapped in the wall. The captain, a guy I knew, saw through it and filed a report against her for wasting resources. Neighbors turned the wall into a shrine, adding fairy lights and a sign, Lisa's Castle, under new management. At a community meeting by my barn, 50 residents voted to disband the HOA, chanting for justice. Lisa watched from her window, silent but seething. Her final gambit came at dawn, a construction crew with a shady permit to clear a visual easement. I called the sheriff, armed with my documents. The deputy shut them down, warning of trespassing charges. Lisa exploded, screaming about her upended life. I looked her in the eye. It's not the bricks, Lisa. It's you. You thought fear was power. That night, neighbors gathered around the wall, sharing cookies and stories, laughing at old HOA nonsense. It wasn't just a wall, Anna Maria, it was a symbol. Weeks later, Lisa's husband, Paul, asked me to remove the wall quietly. I agreed, and Nate and I dismantled one side at 5 a.m. Lisa retrieved her car without a word. We turned the rest into a community nook with a bookshelf and murals. The fire truck unveiling drew a crowd, the restored vehicle gleaming as kids climbed aboard. Lisa watched from her window, alone. I found a GPS tracker under some bricks, her last desperate move. I tossed it in a can and walked away. The neighborhood bloomed. Porch lights stayed on, kids drew on sidewalks, and the barn became a hub. Lisa faded, her house for sale with no takers. The HOA was dead, and other towns cited our fight to end their own. I didn't need revenge. The wall had spoken. Respect isn't demanded, it's built, brick by brick.